Now, the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Penix fires, touchdown Polk.
Lack of execution in the game, not being able to execute things that we've, done in practice over and over and over again.
We'll be looking to learn from the things that we didn't do well and also learn from the things we did do well and build on those.
Thorne goes through his progression, deep, touchdown, Michigan State!
Just looking to get back to playing our football and playing winning football.
For the first time this season, Michigan State's football team enters the week fresh off of an L, and because of its 38-29 loss to Washington, the Spartans are also out of the AP Top 25 poll this week ahead of their Big Ten opener. Not a lot went right in Seattle for the Spartans. However, the play of quarterback Peyton Thorne was promising. He threw for 323 yards and 3 touchdowns and sat down with our Ian Kress to discuss how the Spartans can get back in the win column.
Coming off your guys' first loss of the year, just kind of looking back at the film, what was the takeaways, the good and the bad, obviously?
Yeah, there was some good stuff that we could take away from it. Really, just there was a decent amount of plays where we executed and we saw what happened, but obviously, we didn't execute enough, and maybe we started executing a little too late in the game, and so. With the negative stuff, that's what it came down to, is execution and lack of discipline in terms of our technique or eye discipline or being on the same page, communication, and so those are things that we'll learn from.
You kind of mentioned there's no reason to freak out just yet, so what is the attitude and tone like with you guys in the locker room, practice so far this week?
Yeah, it's details, and we talk about details all the time. It's not just, okay, we lost, and so, okay, now we have to pay attention to details. That's something that we've always been paying attention to, but now it's, okay, we have to go to a different level now, or we just need to be extra particular.
Not to use a cliche, but I feel like a lot of people say you can learn a lot from your losses more than maybe your wins. Do you feel like that can be the case with this loss now going into Big Ten play?
Yeah, it could be. That's how we have to treat it. We have to learn from it and we have to move forward. Obviously, you don't want to go, okay, let's lose a game so we can learn from it. That's not the goal. But yeah, we'll be looking to learn from the things that we didn't do well and also learn from the things we did do well and build on those. So just looking to get back to playing our football and playing winning football.
Yeah, the first 2 games of the year you weren't exactly pleased with the way you played, but then your offensive coordinator just came in and said
he played his off. I really did. I mean, he kept competing and he gave us opportunities.
Looking back, how did you feel like you played and maybe the improvements you made from the first 2 games this year?
Yeah, it was good to get in sync with a couple of our receivers and a couple of our tight ends. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We didn't score enough points, and it's our job to score as many points as we can and to score more points than the other team. And so, offensively, we didn't do our job, and we'll be looking to improve on that and to score, like I said, as much as we can and be really good with the ball.
Julius Irvin makes the play. Peyton Thorne and Michigan State almost do the exact same thing they did last time when they were in their own territory.
Your competitiveness, it seems like that was really showing out there on Saturday. Just first of all, where does that start for you?
Yeah, it starts for me from when I was young. That's just kind of how I've always been. Football, baseball, basketball especially. It doesn't really matter where it was. I always wanted to win. And it comes from my family, my dad and my grandpa, watching them since I was young. They're extremely competitive guys. And then for me, just, my goal is to do as much as I can with what God's given me. And so I'm going to do everything I can when I'm out on that field to play well and to win for my teammates, my coaches, and our school. And I think that's where it comes from.
For you guys, it seemed like in the receiver room, obviously not having Jaden is someone that you have a lot of chemistry with, but seeing guys like Keon and Trey step up into being the guy for you, how nice was that to see for the wide receivers?
Thorne escapes trouble. Touchdown! What a catch by Coleman! Thorne goes through his progression, deep, caught! Touchdown! Michigan State! Mosley!
Yeah, it was good stuff. We've seen it in practice. I've seen those guys make plays in practice, and so it was good to show everybody else, what they can do. Trey's been making plays for a long time around here, and Keon's made some good plays too so far. But it was good to, get on a roll with him and see, what things can be like if we get a whole game of throwing and catching the ball, well with each other. And so, like I said before, we're looking to build on that and to move in the right direction with that.
While Thorne knows he can be better, there's another person who's taking the loss just as personal. Third-year coach Mel Tucker did not mince words about the secondary or his coaching ability after watching the tape. And when we return, he's going to go into more detail about why he feels he's a horse bleep football coach right now.
As we go to break, Farm Bureau Insurance invites you to register to win an exclusive private dinner with head coach Tom Izzo. Go to InsideTheGreensweeps.com to register.
Are you thinking about switching financial institutions or opening a new account? Make the change to MSU Federal Credit Union today. MSU FCU focuses on our members and the community, offering free checking, free financial education, low loan rates, and cashback credit cards. Plus, accessing your account is easy with our mobile app, at a branch, or by visiting one of over 5,000 shared branches across the country. Make the change today. MSU FCU, building dreams together.
The reflection is, like I told the players, the resume is on the tape, you know. So, like right now, I'm a horse football coach right now. That's honestly is how I think about it.
When Mel Tucker steps up to the podium for his weekly press conference, he's generally reserved and every response to a question is usually carefully thought out. However, this week it was a bit different. It's no secret he's coaching the corners this year, so to see Washington's quarterback Michael Penix Jr. rack up nearly 400 yards, it had him using some words he hoped his mother wouldn't hear, and it's where we begin our chat this week. Going into this week, you knew that after watching the film, you were probably expecting or anticipating what you thought, that you were going to be sick by it. You mentioned it did make you sick, but if you could break down more specifics of what made you feel that way.
It's really, lack of execution in the game, not being able to execute things that we've, done in practice over and over and over again. That's the most disappointing thing. And when that happens, you have to ask, why. Why is it like that? And then you always start with, with yourself as a coach and the staff and see, what we can do better to help the players play better. And then you have to take a hard look also at the players and, because there's accountability with coaches and players as well. Ask specific questions, you get a specific answer, and then make the corrections and then move forward.
You watched the continuous copy of the game against Washington, 7:05 in the morning. What did you learn about your team when they watched it all together? I asked them some questions afterwards. I said, hey, what did you see? Because, you can't assume. They're watching, not sure what they're thinking. I asked, a few of our players, our leaders, our older players, what did you see? The word casual came up, lack of detail, lack of execution, because it was evident on the tape. And that's what you have when you have death by inches. You mentioned, too, that you feel like you're a horse football coach. Is that because of how the secondary played and what you've been working on this year with them? That's just how I'm built, as a coach. I've been taught since day one, since the day that I started coaching here, 1997, that if you're not coaching it, you're letting it happen. It's easy to pass the buck and, blame the players. But we first have to look ourselves in the mirror and see, okay, what can we do better? I know that I'm a good football coach. But our performance was not up to the standard. Myself, I'm in improvement mode, just like I am every day. However, I do know what the players have been taught and what they do know and what they should be able to do based upon their training. So there's accountability on both ends of it. When you say you're going to make personnel changes, what specifically does that entail? My philosophy is if a player shows that he's not able to get the job done on a consistent basis, to the standard, then you have to give someone else a chance. You may not know if that other person can do it as well, but what the results have been is not good enough. So you go to the next guy and he gets a chance. If he can do it, and he can continue to do it, then he's got the job. If not, then you go to the next guy. And so, that's how we evaluate it. So there could be some changes against Minnesota. Yeah, there will be. There will be. Yes. Definite answer. Yeah, absolutely. As you look at Minnesota, you have a tremendous amount of respect for them. PJ Fleck as well. They are pretty explosive on offense, just like a team you just played. So do you take this as just another challenge because you're going to be facing a very similar team when it comes to an offensive standpoint?
They run the ball as well as anyone in the country, which puts a lot of pressure, on your defense because we have to stop the run, and then we have to do a great job eliminating explosive gains in the passing game.
Keon had a great game for you guys. He's sort of been that guy who's been waiting for his moment, for his opportunity, his time. How do you hope that what he was able to do in Seattle carries over now as you approach Big Ten play? How much are you going to need that from him?
Yeah, it's all about consistency and performance. That's how you become successful. And so if you're having success, then you have to make an evaluation of what have I been doing to have success, and continue to do those things. It's all about what's next with Keon and the rest of the guys.
You saw some of the grit that Peyton was able to put forth on the field. He is a very competitive guy. He wants to win. He doesn't like anybody to, outplay you guys. What did you really, I guess, maybe see from him in that game as it continued to transpire that you were impressed with?
I've always said that no one's going to outcompete Peyton, and that was displayed in the game. We knew that if we could get him the ball, if our defense could get the ball back to our offense, that we could move the football, and especially through the air. He ran a good show. He took what the defense gave him. He threw check downs if it wasn't there. For the most part, he threw it away. He threw some really nice balls, and he used his feet. He gave us a chance, and so that was it was impressive. I know if you ask him, he's going to always talk about some things that he could have done better. But that's what competitors do.
Saturday's Big Ten opener against the Gophers is going to be another tough test for the Spartans defense because just like Washington, they are explosive on offense. Minnesota is averaging nearly 50 points a game. All right, we're going to go from the gridiron to the greens now. Next week, the MSU men's golf team is headed to the west side of the state. And when we come back, we're going to sit down with Coach Casey Luban, and he shares why this is going to be a college golf event unlike any other.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
From Monday, September 26th to the 28th, the MSU men's golf team is going to be in Grand Haven. The Spartans are hosting the Folds of Honor Collegiate. It's an 18-team tournament at American Dunes Golf Course. And in his 12 years as the Spartans coach, Casey Luban has never been a part of an event like this. I want to start with this. How did this come to be?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. A friend of mine who does golf accessories, like really high-end golf accessories, head covers, things like that we sell in golf shops. He had started making some of these head covers for American Dunes, and they're so cool, and the mission of American Dunes and what you can do. So he kept showing them to me. I said, this is really neat. I got to go see American Dunes. And while we were talking, we said, wouldn't that be cool to host a big college event there? That brainstorm led to a phone call and then a quick trip to Tulsa, Oklahoma to meet with Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, who is widely known in the world of golf, but basically everywhere. He's one of the most impressive people, and we were off to the races. James won the U.S. Amateur on Sunday, August 15th. On August 19th in Tulsa, we came up with this whole idea.
Are you impressed with what has transpired so far with it as you get ready for the tournament, or what has caught you off guard when it comes to planning for the tournament? Just to give people an idea of how extensive this has been.
It's a lot different. So we're hosting 4 events this year. Most teams host 1 or 0. Part of it is relationships we had. This one is much different, much more dynamic in a lot of ways. It's a partnership between the Folds of Honor, American Dunes, the Golf Coaches Association of America, which represents all golf coaches, and Michigan State. So there's a lot of people in the room, and obviously the budgets are bigger, the visibility is bigger, the teams are bigger, but also has, this is the first time I've seen in college golf, we've created an event that has a mission wider than just collegiate athletics. Really trying to bring awareness to what the Folds of Honor does for families of fallen soldiers and disabled soldiers.
Yeah, and that's the thing with it too that you mentioned, it's more than just a college golf tournament. Even on the website, if anybody just goes and plays at American Dunes, they say this is going to be one of the most influential rounds of your life because it's going to be for someone else.
When you go there, you have a special feeling, and Mr. Nicholas did such a good job redesigning the golf course, but they're using their platform of having a world-class golf course and combining that with telling the stories that they're gut-wrenching, right, and they're hard, but there's so much inspiration that comes out of it. You know, a lot of these young people who the Folds of Honor are sending to college, you know, they were very little when their family member was killed or disabled in action. And so every story kind of drives emotional response. So you're playing this great course in beautiful West Michigan, and you're learning the whole time. It's really a unique experience in the world of golf. And you know, think about when we're playing next week at 1 o'clock on the button, everybody stops and they salute if you're a military person, or your hand on your heart if you're not, and you stop the round of golf wherever you are while they play taps, and the bell goes off 13 times to remember all of America's heroes. So nothing we've ever seen in college golf.
How much are you looking forward then to your players being able to experience not only this tournament and what it means, but just to play on the course as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously neat. It's the only Division I men's golf tournament in the state of Michigan this year, so that's special. It's the first time we've been able to host close to home. Our other events are in South Carolina and Florida. So to be able to kind of have a home match for the first time. A lot of our great supporters are coming over for the weekend. Coach Izzo's coming over. This is the first time we played in front of people here in a decade at least, so they're excited on a lot of levels.
The course too, how would you best describe it to people who have never played it?
Well, it went from the tightest tree-lined golf course I had ever seen in my life to wide open and sandy, dunesy. It's quite exceptional from the standpoint of they totally transformed the whole property. Demanding around the greens, you know, you got to hit it and play. All the stuff we have to do on a great golf course, but enjoyable, right? I think the scores will be relatively low, which is fun for young people to make birdies and enjoy some things. It's going to be a new experience for all of us because they've never really hosted anything like this.
Lubon has 5 guys who are, quote, steady heading into next week's tournament, and one of them is 5th-year senior Troy Taylor II. So far in Michigan State's young season, he is the leader of this team, and you're going to hear from him when we come back. The golf course isn't just for golfing for Troy Taylor II. The 5th-year senior actually enjoys one of his favorite hobbies while he's out roaming the course. And when he sat down with our Nick Mantis, they discussed family, fishing, and the plans he has for his final season in the green and white.
Troy Taylor II has had a solid career as a Spartan, but none of it would have been possible without his family.
Going back to before you even came here, Dad played basketball at Ohio State. We've talked about how you've had a little bit of a competitive nature between you guys, but even in that, he was the guy who taught you the game of golf ever since you were 3 years old. What's that relationship been like as you progress through your golf career?
It's crazy. It's really just been the same. He's always been proud of me for whatever I accomplish, and it's been great just having him in my corner. It's just always, it's almost a friendship at this point. I can say that he's my best friend. I can always talk to him about everything, and just having that person always there in my corner is just something that really makes me feel comfortable and just lets me know how blessed I am.
Being the caddy, what's that relationship?
Yeah.
How is she different in her advice?
Yeah.
Maybe your dad might be.
Yeah, she was awesome because she watched me play forever, but it's kind of nice though because she didn't really know what was going on in the most part, so everything was just positive. We weren't really talking about if I hit a bad shot, what happened. We were just talking about anything that was going on. If she saw a bird or a squirrel, she would just point it out, and it was nice. It made me really relaxed. And the thing is that she's been there for me more than probably my dad has in my golf game. I mean, when I was little, my dad coached girls high school basketball, and she always took me to the driving range and would be there for 4 or 5 hours just let me hit balls. So she's the behind the scenes character, but she's the person that holds us all together, and having her caddy for me and being able to do something that special was really, really cool.
So when Troy's not playing golf, what are his hobbies?
So there's 2. One's I play the saxophone for 10 years. I haven't played in the last 2 years, but I played it for 10 years straight. I really enjoy playing the saxophone. Okay. And then the second thing that I absolutely love is I fish almost every day. I love fishing. So those are probably my 2 most ideal hobbies to do if there's not a golf club in my hand.
Catch anything good already this fall, or?
Yeah, I've caught a couple pretty big bass out in some ponds. Eagle Eye kicked me off the golf course eventually, but I caught a couple big bass out of there. I caught a 5-pounder out of there. then caught a couple catfish and stuff. So it just kind of makes me relax and decompress. It just kind of relates over to the golf course. You can't rush anything. If they're not going to bite, they're not going to bite. And same way on the golf course, if it's not my day, I just got to be patient and wait for the next day to come. So I think that's why I enjoy fishing so much.
There are moments where you might have your clubs, but then also have your pole in the back of a cart at the same time?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Definitely.
Just to see if you see a good pond, it's like, okay, we're pulling over for this.
Definitely. All I need is 3 casts. If I get a bite, I'm gonna be satisfied, and then we'll see another pond later down the road. But there's definitely gonna be a cast thrown out if there's a pond.
And the golf can wait for.
The golf can wait.
Yeah.
Golf can wait. And if we're playing good, then we're probably gonna be waiting on the next tee anyway. So we got a couple minutes to take a couple casts.
What would you say is the thing that you're most looking forward to within this next year?
I think the most important thing for me is to win a Big Ten championship as a team. We were so close last year, coming up a shot short, and that kills me every time just thinking about it. So I want to do that and make it to NCAA finals. And I'm more focused on team this year because the individual accolades are going to come if I'm doing my job as I'm supposed to and playing good golf to help our team out. But I think focusing and trying to be the best teammate I can be is going to be the best because I have years from now to focus on my individual success. So I just think this year I want to get a Big Ten championship for us and leave here with a ring.
Over the summer, Troy qualified for the U.S. Amateur, just like his former teammate, James Pyatt.
How has that been kind of a motivating factor for you in saying, okay, like I've seen somebody I was really close to do this. I have an opportunity to do the exact same thing, and it's possible. How does that feel?
It feels great. I'm always about trying to open up a door behind me. Being a minority golfer, at the U.S. Amateur, there was a couple young African-American kids that came up and followed me, and that made me feel even better about myself, knowing that they can see somebody that looks like them doing that, and that might make them pick up a club. And if that means playing collegiate or professional golf or just getting somebody else in the game, that makes me feel really good. That probably made my summer the most, was having a couple kids come up to me and watch me and just getting to talk to them and trying to touch somebody else and help them out with whatever they're going on and just put a smile on somebody's face.
You have to love a great golfer who's also a great guy. It will be exciting to see what Troy and his teammates can accomplish this year. As always, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show. Have a happy and healthy weekend.